think about this story. We looked around as a country and said, you know, I don't know who comes up with the next great idea. I don't know what the next great idea is, but here's what I'm pretty sure of. You're going to need to plug in to turn that idea into anything big. And so we said the job of the rest of us is to get out there and build a power grid across the country. Back then it was all fossil fuel because that's all we knew, but we understood the importance of making these investments going forward. And the fourth one, we invested heavily in research because this was our comparative advantage. We are a people, yes. We look at things from lots of directions. We're smart, we're creative. The federal government did its own basic research. It invested in universities to do research. It invested in private industry to do research because we knew if you did the basic research, you built a pipeline into the heart of America, into our smart folks who would pluck a piece here, who would pull a piece there, and turn it into something fabulous. That was the time when we created America. So you look at the data, and what it shows year over year, GDP, adjusted for inflation, just keeps going up. And here's the critical part. Median family income, not drawn out by the richest families, right in the middle, kept moving up at the same pace. In other words, as the country got richer, families got richer. As families got richer, the country got richer. We understood it. And here is the key point. It changed how we thought about ourselves. We became a country that believed if you keep making the right investments, the opportunities are there. We began to believe down to our toes that every kid should have a chance to do that, that people should be measured, not by who they were or how they were born, but what they can do.
Yeah.
Now, I don't kid myself. It was not a story that worked for everyone. 1950s, 1960s, there were a lot of places women weren't welcome. There were a lot of places, the workforce, the educational institutions, African Americans weren't welcome, Latinos weren't welcome, gays weren't welcome, lesbians weren't welcome, Jews weren't welcome. There were lots of groups that were shut out. But here was the key. A country that believed in opportunity, a country that believed if you work hard, you play by the rules, we ought to measure you by what you can do, was a country that was committed over time to expanding those opportunities to everyone. Sometimes it felt like one step back and two forward, but here's the key. The arc was in the right direction. Opportunity for all of us. Yes. And then, about 30 years ago, the 1980s, we began to turn in a different direction. We lost our way. And I'll just roll this forward to pick part of this and how it looks by the 2000s. So we hit the 2000s, and here's where we are. China is investing 9% of its GDP in infrastructure year over year. Europe is investing 5% of its GDP in infrastructure year over year. Here in the US, we're at 2.4 and trying to figure out how to cut it. You don't maintain the present at 2.4, much less build a future. Research. As a proportion of GDP, we have slashed federal support for basic research, that big pipeline, by more than 50% since the late 1960s. Is there anyone in this room who believes we build a more competitive future by shrinking up the research pipeline?
No.
No, good. I want to know you're out there. Good. Right. And the third one, I'm just going to pick up on education. There are a lot of places I could focus this, but let's just talk about community colleges and state universities. How much more, think about these investments we make, how much more is a kid required to pay on just tuition and books, even if you can live at home or live with somebody else, tuition and books. How much more, adjusted for inflation, is a kid today paying for tuition at a state university than 30 years ago? And the answer is 350% more.
Yes, yes, yes.
So for me, this frames it all. Thank you. Okay, so for me, this frames it all. For me, it puts right on the table, as a country, what are we going to invest in? Are we going to invest in the oil industry? Billions of dollars to one of the most profitable industries in this country. No. What? Are we going to keep investing in big companies, profitable companies, like General Electric, who pay, quite legally, 0 in taxes? No. Or are we going to invest in our future? Are we going to celebrate anybody who makes it big? I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want them to play on a level playing field.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to take the money that we're using right now to subsidize them, and I want to use it instead to invest in our future. Why? So the next kid can make it big, and the kid after that, and the kid after that.
Yeah.
When I hear that a big profitable company like General Electric can, and many others, I want you to understand, many others, can legally pay 0 in taxes at precisely the same moment that we are saying there's no money for after-school programs.
Hello.
Young people need to take on more debt in order to get an education, and seniors may have to learn to just live on less. I want you to understand that is not an issue of economics. It is not an issue of finance. It is a question of our values. So I just want to say how pleased I am to be here today. I want to say this. I am here in part to honor the memory of my mother and father, who are now gone, who never were able to accumulate very much, but who believed down to their toes that their children were growing up in an America of expanding opportunity. And I am also here in part because I now have 3 little grandchildren. And I am in this race because I believe down to my toes that they should grow up in an America that is committed to that same expanding opportunity. So,